So let's visit the wescol campuses located on the western edge of the Witwatersrand. And I want to start 2 billion years ago. Bear in mind that the Earth is only 4 billion years old. So halfway through the Earth's existence, a huge meteor 10 kilometers wide came smashing into the Earth with a force 180 billion times larger than the atom bombs that were dropped in the Second World War. It left 100-kilometer wide dent in the Earth, right next to an area which happened to be at that stage collecting our world's largest resources in gold. Not that we'd have known that 2 billion years ago. Now, the impact did two things. Number one, the explosion resulted in huge amounts of dust exploding outwards and then slowly dropping downwards and protecting the gold from future erosion. But more importantly, number two, the impact forced the gold downwards in line with the crater. And that is why, firstly, all the gold mines are in this like arc around the Vredefort impact. And number two, we have the deepest gold mines in the world because of the impact forcing the gold into reefs which ran deep into the earth. And as we fly into Carletonville, we're going to go over the world's deepest gold mines. They were then known as Western Deep Levels. Unfortunately, many of these mines in this area have now closed down, causing huge unemployment and difficulties in Carletonville itself. And it is this context that I want you to bear in mind as we travel over the Western College's TVET campuses. Now, Carletonville offers a combination of business studies programs, so you can do office administration and you can do financial management and human resources management and be a management assistant. But it also offers the engineering qualifications all the way from N1 to N6. And you can do this in mechanical and electrical engineering. And on top of that, it offers educare in terms of general studies. And as we pull out of Carletonville with Kutsong on your left-hand side, I want you to spare a thought for the people in this area really struggling to find jobs because of the reliance of this area on mining, with similar struggles happening in Klerksdorp now, which you can see right on your bottom left, and then in Western area where we're traveling to now. Now, these really deep mines have caused another problem. As the gold got deeper and deeper, so it got more and more expensive to get at the gold, which then meant that labor costs had to be controlled, resulting in a situation where there was a struggle between mechanization on the one side and labor on the other side. And mines like South Deep, which we're now flying over, have resolved the problem by mechanizing the mines. So even though this is one of our richest mines, in fact, it's probably going to be our last mine in South Africa. They expect it to be still going 75 years from now. But it's highly mechanized. So there are some people working there, but not as many as can sustain all the communities living around the area. And this has resulted in once fairly dynamic small towns like Western area really starting to struggle. So when wescol expressed an interest around 2015 to start up a satellite campus over here, they got the sports grounds because these weren't being used. But it's unclear how well the satellite campus is going to do, even though it is offering some of the engineering qualifications over here at kind of like an early N1, N2 level. And as we lift out of Western area and travel towards Randfontein, I want you to look out for how all the mines tend to have these small, well-established hostels with good housing, good hospitals for their workers. But they can do this because they don't need too many workers. So they locate the workers near the mine, meaning that everyone in the surrounding areas, Machlakeng, where we're traveling to now, and Beckersdal, are really struggling for employment. With even these historically white areas which we're traveling through now to get to the Randfontein campus also really struggling. So now historically this was the Randfontein Technical College, and now you can do business studies over here in HR and marketing management and public public relations. You can be a legal secretary over here. You can also do all the engineering qualifications over here. You can do electrical installation and you can get your certificate of competency, and you can also do educare, hospitality and hairdressing. There's always been a salon here since it started, so it's got that tradition behind it. And we're now traveling to the main office, picking up on Main Reef Road with Girls Boys Town. And you've got Uncle Harry's Roadhouse, where I used to go for ice cream because I had cousins who lived in this area. Now, this was acquired in 2009, and I understand it was called Tinky Land at that point. And it's quite a nice historical building. But there have been real struggles at this college lately. The old principal was accused of corruption and had to leave under rather nasty circumstances, and there's been a sense that wescol is really struggling at the moment. It's also really struggled because there's been huge movement in terms of its campuses, so it's lost and gained campuses over the last 20 years or so. So for example, we're now going to go through to Krugersdorp, and this used to be a technical college at one stage, but this was only got in 2007, and then it was the Southwest Gauteng's college campus. And I want to travel to Krugersdorp over the strange, weird mining abandoned landscape. I used to often actually go play in these mine dumps, so I have very fond memories of them. But really what you have is a poisoned, nasty environment over here. And just on the other side of this desolate abandoned landscape, you have the Krugersdorp West campus. Now this is really a engineering campus, so you can do the N1 to 6 engineering qualifications, and it looks like in all of these wescol campuses they mix electrical and mechanical and civil, and it also offers a NCV program in electrical construction. Now I want to lift out of Krugersdorp West, go round the old abandoned mine dumps where some reclamation work is happening to get uranium and other minerals left over, and go through into Krugersdorp town itself. Now it was founded around about 1887 and was named after Kruger, the old president of the Transvaal Republic. And it's really interesting for me to see how you now have this combination of poor whites mixed into this area, having lost the protection of the old apartheid state and now living in old caravan parks, unemployed and really struggling with the dysfunctionalities of unemployment, and finding out how many of our people were forced to live through apartheid policies. Now, this particular campus doesn't offer engineering actually. It's really a business studies and general campus. So you can do educare over here and tourism, you can do finance, economics and accounting, office administration. Those are its main qualifications. So now I want to do a pull out from Krugersdorp and to track the main reef, how it's running from this western area which we've been focusing on all the way along through to Johannesburg, and then past Johannesburg all the way through to the East Rand, creating South Africa's most industrialized region. But unlike Johannesburg and the north-south areas which have tended to industrialize and diversify, areas like Krugersdorp and Randfontein have landed up stuck in that old mining context. And what I want you to look out for as we pull around is just check out how the Magaliesberg itself has that curve. Now that curve is from the Vredefort explosion, making the mountains go in that area. And you can actually see the ripples still there from 2 billion years ago. So you can imagine how huge it must have been in those times. And we're now flying through to the Tubamakota campus. And you can see that it's located quite far away from the Krugersdorp and Randfontein and Carletonville campuses. It offers all the programs across the engineering, business studies and general programs, and you can actually see it's quite an extensive campus. And there were hopes actually to start an aviation qualification over here because there's huge hang gliding expertise, and actually there's all sorts of airports around Krugersdorp and that because of the mining that was going on there, but I haven't been able to find any evidence of that happening. So then let's do this final pull out to get a sense of it around the Magaliesberg with its huge curve because of the damage done by the Vredefort crater, sweeping around so you can clearly see the gold reef arching along, but around about 80 k's away from the Vredefort crater with the huge and deep level mines situated around Carltonville and Klerksdorp now being abandoned and resulting in all sorts of social and economic struggles and inequalities, and Western College caught in this, also struggling with that, trying to make a difference in the area.